It is January 29th, 2016. I'm Dana Durnford, also known as the nuclearproctologist.org, and you can find these videos and live streams at livestream.com. Japan restarts nuclear reactor using plutonium mixed fuel. Well, plutonium that they're talking about is stuff that they reclaimed from nuclear missiles that were sitting in silos for decades. They're already unstable. They already went through a chain reaction. That makes them 2 million times worse. Reclaiming them makes them worse, and then putting them through a chain reaction again makes them another 2 million times worse again. It's unconscionable that they're doing that. And there's no one out there with another narrative. They just puke up whatever Tokyo or any nuclear industry says, and there's no checks and balances in the media anymore. There's zero. There's zero. We got the banana waving, potato crunching, airplane bootlicking, walking in the sunshine, cheerleaders running the show. And this is untenable that we have a media that won't talk about nuclear only unless it's about bananas, potato chips, and walking in the sunshine, or not saying nothing at all, but never having another narrative. For any other subject, you would have another narrative. Now, I know what people are saying out there. They're saying stuff like, Dana, are you trying to say that all scientists are corrupt? Dana, are you, Dana? Are you? Yeah. Huh? Dana, are you? Yes. Oh, okay. But you got to realize that it's not just the crazies in the media. You got all your universities and institutions. You got all your politicians all out there braying that nuclear is somehow equated with carbon-free. Nuclear is somehow too cheap to meter. Nuclear is somehow clean and reliable energy. Nuclear is somehow some kind of benefit. Nuclear is homeostasis, which is good for you. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. It's outright outrageous, unimaginable, blatant, in your face, shut your pie hole lies. And there's no one to hold these people accountable. They don't even hold themselves accountable. They have Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts. They have fan clubs. They get out and go to parties. They're not even ashamed of what they're saying or doing or creating. They have no moral compass or conscience whatsoever. And yet they have a journalist degree, and they have, I can't remember, there's a good name for it, but, you know, where you join these fraternities of academics and you swear to be a steward of the environment, or a steward of your planet, or a steward of your knowledge, or a steward of facts and figures and data. And if someone come out and said, hey, come watch my program or read my stories, we're going to manipulate you and deceive you and trick you and fool you and ridicule you and treat you like an idiot, you wouldn't go to their sites, right? And so what they do is they parade out these puppets. These are the puppets that have a lot of traction, and then everybody pukes up whatever the puppet says, and you can't have a conversation with anybody. And then you got to really realize that this plant they're starting up is on the west side of Japan, not the east side. So the east side is where the tsunami rammed into the coastline. Let me give you a quick picture of that before we jump back over. And so here's a better way to look at this, I think, personally. Just me, you know how I am, right? So this is a map. We can zoom in and make things better. Ha! Take that, Mr. Pewter. So what you're seeing is where people died from the tsunami along the coastline. All these numbers you're looking at are the numbers of the people that they verified died. Now on the other side of the island, over like where that chummy is to up there, Noah, what an idiotic name that is. They're scumbag PR firms. That's all. Our government is, we've lost the government. We don't no longer have, and Like sometimes you would say we don't have a functional government. Now we actually don't even have a government. Because they don't know the difference between a 12-foot fuel rod and a banana. Or an 18-foot fuel rod and a banana. No, 12-foot. It's 18 pounds. Each reactor had 5 million pounds in the reactor. 3,440 fuel assemblies. Each assembly has 80 rods. Each rod is 18 pounds. 288,000 rods at 18 pounds each. And so you had 5 million pounds in each reactor. Okay, this is where all the power plants were too. And where's the one that we started up? Yeah, Takahama. That's in right there on the back, away from the open ocean. So what I had predicted all along was that they were going to start the reactors that were on the other side of the open ocean. And the reason I suggested that was because we knew the tsunami had wrecked everything, all the power plants along that coastline, on the east coast, on the open ocean. And so we also know that 15 reactors in the areas affected by the quake and the tsunami, like I just showed you, and the Tokai Daini took 4 days to achieve cold shutdown. Okay. Fukushima had a 9.0 magnitude. It was actually 9.3 or something, but. And there's a huge significance in those little tiny points. For instance, Japan was 7,000 times worse than Christchurch, New Zealand. And Japan was 1,000 times worse than Haiti. Japan's earthquake shook the country for 6 minutes. 6 minutes. We're talking about at 1, 2, and 3 G forces. I'm talking about an earth dropping 3 feet and shifting 6 to 7 feet to the northeast. So just imagine if someone just dropped you, you're driving down the road and the car just drops down and shifts 6 feet at the same time. That whole country done. The continental shelf broke off, was 180 miles long. 180 miles. 180 miles. And this was a vicious tsunami created by something like that. Tsunami itself ran through the country and hit these nuclear power plants and melted them down. These are the Fukushima Daiichi. Now they had number 3 there. We're going to get to that very quick. Here's unit 1. That was 100% meltdown. Worst thing could ever happen to the planet. This made Chernobyl look like a candlestick all on its own, without counting the fuel pools that were on the roof. This was where they took the 5 million pound reactor cores every couple of years and put them on the roof. And all the nuclear waste is kept on each nuclear site. And they also have what's called a common spent fuel pool. Okay, that's unit 2 coming up. This was 100% meltdown, melt through and a melt out. This is way beyond Chernobyl. This, we know now, is 100% inventory is gone. We also know that the fuel pools are all gone. And the fuel pools, we're talking about tens of millions of pounds in all these fuel pools is missing that wasn't accounted for and that they never told you about, and that was atomized in aerosol and released into your environment. And that a gram of this stuff, a gram, the size of a dime, is 1 million watts. But if you atomize an aerosol and released it into the environment, it's still 1 million watts. So what is 5 million pounds of this divided by grams divided by watts? And then divide that, put in the fuel pools, where they took the reactor cores 5 million pounds at a time, put it up on the roof, on each of the buildings. That they've never accounted for, that they've never mentioned, that they've never explained away, that they refuse to talk about, and that they, when they do, they say it's 1,100 fuel rods, when that's ludicrous when each reactor takes 3,840 assemblies, about 280,000 rods. But yet the site only had 1,100 rods on it. And this is your disgusting, pathetic, maniacal media. So now we get to unit 3. Look at it. The reason that one is destroyed so bad because it was MOX fuel. And MOX fuel can burn, once it goes crazy, it can burn 200,000 degrees hotter. This one, the explosion was felt 25 miles away. This reactor is 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. Okay, let me come back over here. Japan restarts the second nuclear complex under tighter post-Fukushima rules. Wait a second, you just allowed them to open up another MOX facility. And you're claiming that they're going to consume the fuel and get rid of it that way. But you release it into the community. How can you consume something of noble gases? You can't contain noble gases because they'll detonate when they reach oxygen, so you have to constantly vent them off, afraid they stockpile, and then when that oxygen hits it, it'll detonate and destroy the buildings like we've seen earlier. Not only that, but it's billions of times worse. The elements are. It's 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. And so you just started up another reactor that's 2 million times worse, but yet you claim safer, complex, tighter rules. There is no rules for you people. You people don't play by any rules. You are completely out of control. Number 3, once again, that's on the west side, not the east, the open ocean, because the open ocean was destroyed, that whole coastline. All those reactors, like I showed you earlier. But all is not lost. Now they find out that rigging research reactors of highly enriched uranium to take decades longer than what they've been telling you for 70 years, because all they know how to do is lie. Dan, are you trying to say that man-made radiation is different from the sunshine, Dana? Huh? Dana, you cocaine conspiracy thirst, yo! Well, actually, a banana is homeostasis, and so if you eat a banana, your body off-gasses the same amount of potassium that's in a banana, but because potassium is something that everything on the planet is engineered with, we have potassium like calcium. We can't live without it. It's normal, indigenous, everyday background emitters. These are not radiation. You can't mutate a fruit fly or something like that. These don't have the extra electrons added to them. You won't see potassium plumes coming out of the reactor. And so the stuff that comes out of a reactor has been bombarded with neutrons and accepted some of that in each atom as electrons, extra isotopes. And that's what gives you cancer. Remember, cancer is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years down the road before it's manifests and gets diagnosed. But there's 1,800 autoimmune deficiencies that'll show up before that. And some of it right away. Alzheimer's, dementia, autism passed on to your children, diabetes, liver, lung, respiratory, pituitary gland problems, thyroid problems, of course. Your thyroid is a gland. This is so important you understand the difference between an organ and a gland. A gland dies, it rots. An organ, like they can put you on dialysis for your kidneys, blah, blah, blah. Not that everybody survives that. And what you got to remember, though, is that that extra electron is why we have terrorist laws. That's why we have nuclear holding sites. We don't have a nuclear waste site because we don't know what to do with this because of that extra electron. That's why it's so dangerous. That's why you hear billions of dollars to each of these facilities. Just think about these facilities for a second. How do you get into the uranium power plant business? Well, first off, you got to spend a few $1 billion and look at an area that you're going to mine to get the uranium out of that area. Okay. And you got to get your hands on the land. You got to negotiate with all the locals. You got to build separate ponds to store all the waste, the chemicals, the stupid amount of chemicals. You're talking 400 train car loads of ore to get a gram. So it's a stupid amount of waste left over. And they have to crush all this, use stupid amount of water to get rid of stuff they don't want. And then they use vicious chemicals to get the gram from 400 train cars. If I told you got to transport 400 train cars, or it's a significant job, okay? You got to fill them all up. You got to get all these trucks, all these people, all this equipment. So just the very basis of uranium is stupidly expensive, and you can never get rid of all the waste they made. That's why Navajos has around 5,500 abandoned mines polluting their entire area forever. There's no accountability for these people. No one's ever going to clean up the mess they made right there. And then the power plant is releasing, it takes billions and billions and billions and billions to build a power plant. It takes billions now just to find a site for a power plant. It takes billions just to do the studies in that whole area on earthquakes and seismic and water flow and structure and everything else. Then it takes billions of dollars to build a plant. Then you have to hire 5,000 people and pay them an exorbitant amount of money. And then you have to give them stupid amount of benefits. You have to bring in billions of dollars for security, billions of dollars to for the facility to store the stuff on the site that's always released into the community. And so that all the studies done around nuclear power plants show a significant amount of cancers within 15 square miles. It's not that it stops there, but that's what the study's done. They showed 6 times more breast cancer. You're 6 times more likely. You might hear me slurring a lot of words tonight, but because I got teeth now that are hanging out of my friggin' mouth that are not rotted, that don't have cavities, and I'm losing the hair off my friggin' head. And I'm lethargic now. Barely do anything. And, you know, I'm bombarding myself with healthy stuff, and I expect to see results in the next week or so, but, you know, they kicked my door in the last time I went down to the court because they put a slap suit against me to silence me. They took down 300 of these presentations with a court order to silence you so you couldn't understand this information, this data, that you couldn't go look at the history of the things I say. And then they come out and vilified me in the media throughout North America, right throughout my entire country. Accused me of death threats, but I'm not charged with death threats. I'm charged with criminal harassment of nuclear pukes. It's a badge of honor. But it's an outright fabrication. And we've showed court papers where they stalked me for 2 years and tried to get me arrested repeatedly for talking about them. But Woods Hole and the public speakers from there and the University of Victoria in British Columbia to silence me and to intimidate you and to coerce you and to be able to use that then to silence other people. So we are fighting for the very existence of this planet. We are looking at an extinction event playing out in the Pacific Ocean, most likely from the MOX fuel, from number 3 in particular. But many reactors on that coastline, is my assertion, had melted. And let me run that by you one more time. That's Unit 3. Unit 3, all of these reactors need 1 million gallons a minute or they melt down in hours. If it was a perfectly healthy building and they lost power, it's going to lose 1 inch a minute. So in about 11 hours, it's dry. And then what happens, of course, is the fuel, the zirconium claddings will burn off. They'll evaporate. This stuff has already went through a chain reaction. It's not like before you put it in there. It's full of these electrons. It's a terrorist. It's a dirty bomb now. On a whole new scale. This is Unit 4. This is a totally lost its complete inventory. We've never seen nothing like any of these buildings, let alone so many of them. Japan has absolutely zero rights to restart another reactor. They say they're doing it to boost the economic energy output, to make people feel good, make businesses more active. Look, you've been using diesel and oil and everything else and gas and coal for 5 years. You didn't have any rolling blackouts. You don't need the power plants. You want the money. You don't care about the murder. You don't care about the death and destruction that you're going to cause and continue to cause and have already caused. You have no intentions of being held accountable for that because you're corporate personhood and nobody can go to jail. All you can do is get a fine. Nobody gets a criminal record. There's no checks and balances, no way to rein you in, nobody to hold you accountable because you're a corporate personhood. You're an illegal fiction. You're not a person. You're a corporation. You're supposed to have a charter so we can hold you accountable. But because of you crazies, you freaks, you traitors of humanity, you nut jobs that have wrecked your own country and now kill the Pacific Ocean. You're not familiar with that. Dina, that's not supposed to be there. I put it in my other one. But anyway, British Columbia used to look like this wherever you went. These are pictures I took. This one here. This is post-Fukushima. This is pre-Fukushima. This is post-Fukushima. I'll give you a quick background on that. I should really start out every show by showing people that, really. We done 15,000 miles of coastlines, the arrows representing areas that we covered extensively in a tiny operation where we went ashore 5, 6, 7 islands a day, every day, 260 days, 15,000 miles of the coastline. We showed instead of life being normal, 5,600 species, they're all missing. And that the 4 million other species didn't come in and recede the coastline. So we have an extinction event playing out in the Pacific Ocean. So these are all from the same spot. This is pre-Fukushima. This is post-Fukushima. The birds would starve. Pre-Fukushima, I couldn't put my Zodiac anywhere near the shoreline because you punch a hole in it. Now you can go shore anywhere because there's nothing there. Pre-Fukushima, life everywhere. Post-Fukushima, the 4 million other species didn't even survive to reseed the coastline. Pre-Fukushima, study after study, British Columbia got 26,000 islands here in Canada. This is one of the most gorgeous places imaginable. It's heavily studied. Now everything is gone. There used to be 500 of these particular one species only. There's 78 of these sea anemone species. But just this one species would have 500 per square meter throughout the coastline. Some bays, that's all you would find there, basically, because they would dominate it in the very deepest backs of bays where there wasn't much flow. These things still thrived. Now, you would starve to death on those shorelines. Instead of being able to go anywhere on the coastline of British Columbia and just pick out a square meter and feed a dozen people, now you couldn't feed a little tiny bird. And all the birds have died throughout the coastline. They're also missing. We've done species counts on that. That's the documentation. You'll find that up at nuclearproctologist.org. Okay, so let's come back. Let's come back and back and back. And so let's talk about, for 1 second, Fukushima, the earthquake we just talked about, the tsunami, the meltdown, reactor 1, reactor 2, reactor 3, reactor 4. They came out and told you it looked like that on the inside, that it looked like that on the inside, but we know they tore it all off, that there was nothing left. And that the homeless you see there, they can't tell you any difference because they're dead. They died shortly after. Anybody that went there died. That's a fact. That's how that works. That's why we have terrorist laws. That's why we got 9 million bags. 9 million bags from those 4 buildings. So, this tsunami debris, see, that's why they never got no power along the coastline, because where all those people died, like I showed you earlier, right? They died because of that. And that's why they never got no power, and that's why all those reactors on the coastline melted down. That's why they're opening the ones on the west coast, right? But think about it. They created 9 million bags, 1-ton bags. Just imagine if I gave you a job, you got to move those 9 million 1-ton bags, you and your neighbor. I'm going to give you a little pickup and a little forklift or something, and I want you to get busy. Try counting to 1 million, then try to move 9 million. You can't do either of it. So it's an incredible undertaking to fill up 9 million bags. So everybody that worked on that will die in the very near future is already dead. Everybody, bar nobody. Everybody that worked on that. Radiation takes 5, 10, 15, 20 years to get you. But it's guaranteed to get you. You drive by a nuclear power plant, you suck in an atom, and you're driving another 1,000 miles to somewhere where there's no nuclear plant. 20 years down the road, you got to liquidate your assets because you got cancer. Your child did. Or you passed it on as autism or something else, or diabetes to your child when they were born. 5 years after you drove by the nuclear power plant. A coal plant, you can live there, get sick, move away, a couple of years later you're fine. Shut down a coal plant, you can go in there, back there and live again. Nuclear power plant, you can never live there again. Nuclear power plant, you can't even decommission it. Nothing has been successfully decommissioned. Nothing on this planet. China can't do it, Japan can't do it, Canada can't do it, America can't do it, Russia can't do it, Germany certainly can't do it. The ocean currents travel right across the Pacific Ocean in 45 days. The coastline of North America and Canada in particular is kept warm all year long by that warm water from Japan. And now that this model is based upon just a couple of days releases from a single reactor, 1 or 2, unit 1 or unit 2, but not all the 4 reactors I just showed you, not the fuel pool, not the melted reactors, based upon a steam release. The Pacific Ocean would be radiated with man-made ionized radiation, not bananas, not potato chips, not walking in sunshine, not the nonsense that you're spoon-fed every day in your garbage. You're disgusting, you're twisted, you're vicious, lying sacks of shit media. And I mean, they got to this one. There's a lot of blowback in the last couple of months that we've never seen before, right? We see the same old, the puke machine, AP, and we see the Japanese media somewhere. Not sure what that one was. Kyoto, all coming out. They show protesters, thank Jesus. But see, they don't say the difference. There is no end to our efforts to ensure safety. No, because it's nothing but work to try to stop the mass. You can't stop what's coming out of the stacks. You can't stop the 120,000 liters a day that's burnt off in the fuel pools of water that's evaporated into the community. You say the same lie over and over and over, and the media never holds you accountable. That's changing, though. Some media is speaking out. Rocky Road for nuclear waste borehole study. They want to drill a hole down the earth, put nuclear waste down there because they don't know what to do with it. Because it's like a banana. You got to put it thousands of feet under the ground because it's like a banana, or walking in the sunshine under a potato chip. See, this story don't add up to that story. Oh, it's fine. Oh, we're going to do everything we can. Wait a second. You don't even know what to do with the waste. You don't know what to do with the stuff you're creating. And your solution is, fuck it. We're going to dig a hole and drop it down there, and you people can shut up. Don't think I'm going to be shutting up for you or anything like you. Lauren Donovan, thank you, honey, for writing that story. But the rest of the puke machines out there, I'd like to have a personal word with you. Hi, everybody. Hi, Joss, Candace. I like saying hi to people. Jeff, Hezza, Albert. And don't be surprised if I miss you. Just cruising. Thirst. Jen Brooks. Strontium Mike. Hey, buddy. Thank you for all the work you do, my friend. Albert. Nip Killer. I'm just going to run down and see what's here. The survival of Japan depends on the rebuilding Fukushima. That's never going to happen. Survival of Japan depends upon them getting rid of their reactors and putting out free healthcare and coming up with technology to save people's lives. Like, you're better off going to Chernobyl than you are being in Japan. You're better off moving all of Japan to Chernobyl. Everything right there by the reactors. Than you are being anywhere in Japan because of the MOX fuel, the mixed oxide fuel. Let me keep going. I'm in a roll here. Hi, Bert. You got to follow the show to figure it out, man. There's lots of stuff I can't talk about because the trolls are, hi Joe, because the nuclear PR firms are monitoring me, stalking me 24/7, trying to get tidbits so they can counter me. What am I supposed to do? I can't come out and this is not something like that's frivolous. This is people that have demonized me in the media, are already accused me of death threats, have already convicted me, have already pummeled me throughout the social network, that are out there right now still accusing me of death threats. When they know in my official release that I'm only charged with criminal harassment and nuclear pukes. And that this was meant to demonize me and put fear into everybody as we come up to the 5th anniversary of Japan's melter reactors. Hi, everyone. We'll run back to the show here. Which makes it really hard for me to raise the money to even defend myself because I can't explain what I need without giving away my defense. And that I don't have like the support network that they have. They can get billions. I can lucky to come up with a few hundred. And I did this week, thank goodness. Thank goodness. And we got to go to court again on the 10th. Way the fuck away from me. I got to take a ferry and get a hotel room. I might be down there for 6 days before they finally drop the case. Because this is what that is about. It's about bankrupting you. That's what a slap lawsuit is all about. This is a judicial version. They say me friggin' teeth. They probably already killed me for all we know. Most likely. That's what the industry does. Any kind of resistance, easy thing to do is kill it. Particularly someone like me. Someone who's going to give you the data as they're talking. Because there's nothing like me out there. I know that. I get that. I understand that. I can't stand that, but I get it. I wish it wasn't so. I wish I didn't have to do what I'm doing. Am I doing what I'm doing because the media insist upon coming out and apologizing and puking up whatever these freaks of natures, no matter what they want to do. Oh, we want to rape 6-year-olds. Okay, it's cool and trendy to rape 6-year-olds because, hey, it's a corporation. We want to give all the children cancer. Hey, by the way, go eat your radiation. Radiation is homeostasis. So they roll out the quacks to tell you that it's good for you. And I mean, that's a quack. Why do we have terrorist laws? Why do we have nuclear holding sites? Why are we worried about dirty bombs? See, Chernobyl lasted 10 days, was equal to 400 Hiroshima bombs. 400 bombs from a 10-day accident. Because it's consuming everything. It's like a ball. It's like the sun on our planet. And it's eating up the rocks and steel and rebar and cement and water. And it's ionizing and radiating it and releasing it into the environment. For 10 days. And then they sat there with their little calculator and said, 400 Hiroshima bombs. Meanwhile, it's more like 400 or 40,000 Hiroshima bombs. They contaminated 150,000 square miles of the country. Remember, 4 reactors in Japan, 9 million bags and counting. 9 million bags. 9 million. 9 million bags for 4 buildings. 9 million. It's not counting the depth of the Pacific Ocean, the trillions of bags that they would dig up around Canada, United States, and all of Japan. All of Japan. Because it's never stopped coming at it. It's still coming at it. Or full speed. Full steam. Full speed. Come back over and make some more fun of Dana. Yeah, I kind of get it, but... Tell him the truth, Dana. Tell him like a banana, Dana. I have no idea. Tell him it's like walking in the sunshine, Dana. Tell him it's like getting on an airplane, Dana. Tell him it's like sleeping next to somebody, Dana. But don't tell him it's dangerous, Dana. I agree. That's my evil little twin, you see there. But I agree that as long as you say it's like a banana or a potato chip or walking in the sunshine, you get all the donations you need, you get all the help you need, you get all the funding you need, you'll get the biggest studio, all the guests you ever wanted, you'll get pushed out there into the circus. But how dare you come out and say that radiation is why we have terrorist laws for dirty bombs, or radiation is why we have nuclear waste holding sites, or nuclear reactors create the worst elements in our solar system. We have over 10,000 classified elements created in a chain reaction. But yet we look at about, these are our emitters. We have 162 natural emitters on the planet, like potassium and rubidium. But they got a tendency to name stuff similar because it follows the same path. It has the same... But these are created. Everything is created from uranium. It's not like they put these 10,000 elements in there. No. That's what makes it so bad. That's what makes it so hideous. That's what makes it so vicious and so dangerous. Is this machine that insists that it's harmless when they know better. They have the education. They went to the institutions. And that nobody bothers pulling their degree. No one holds them accountable. No one says anything. They're allowed to reign supreme. Till the end of time, nobody can hold them accountable, right? I mean, that is the reality. See? You can't do anything. Oh, I smurfed that one up. Okay. Oh, wrong side. I'm supposed to go that side. I'm supposed to have somebody whisper in my ear. That didn't work. So flew up in my face again. Okay, that's about it. That's about all I got for tonight. It's back to Charlie up. So I know a lot of that stuff never come out very good tonight because that's the first time I tried to do the special 3D effect. So the idea, right? The idea was that I could sit out front. Let me try that. I could sit out front, but I used a different color, green, on the floor, and I couldn't blot it out, so I got to match the colors of the green screen to the one on the floor before I can get rid of that. And I'm just so friggin' sleeping so much lately. You're burnt completely out. 260 days on the ocean, 15,000 miles of the coastline, and then come ashore and get arrested and vilified and demonized throughout the entire country, and victimized and attacked and arrested and dragged down into another jurisdiction for a kangaroo court. Can take the good out of you, right? It can tax everything, every part of your body. And then last time I went to court, they kicked in my door. And so I had to throw away all my groceries because we're talking about the nuclear industry, okay? We're talking about animals. We're talking about monsters and monster makers. We're talking about people that have zero conscience and that friggin' hate me with a passion and stalked me for the last 2 years. Called up the hotels when I was out on the expedition and told them that I was a scam artist and that I was an e-bagger, blah, blah, blah. We'll be having an e-bagger 24-hour marathon to raise money somewhere the next week because I got to raise enough money to get the things I need and be able to do the things that we need to do to finish off these projects, to get the documentary. It's not so bad, I should say, on that part. We now have the software. We have all that equipment. We have that technology. It's extremely sophisticated, unfortunately. And so, I might have to go down and take lessons to be able to use this properly, or I might just have to go ahead and make the documentary before they put me away or kill me. Most likely, killing me seems to be the one they're up to right now. Besides, they're trying to put me away. I'm putting up a good fight. But it's bankrupted, the whole operation anyway. And people are still chipping in, so we'll scrounge up enough to get back down for the next one, and we'll do the same for the one after that. I'm going to try to do a fundraiser for 24 hours again, because I can't stand to ask for money every friggin' time. But that is the only way I got this far, and that's the only way I'm going to continue to be able to go. I'm a nobody. I'm an independent nobody. And I have been hammered by this thing, this creature, this unconscionable entity that feels like it's incapable of being held to account, or it fears that with unimaginable fear. These are extraordinarily funded, every one of them. They bash us, and me in particular, constantly because I got the traction, I guess, and I'll carry that as a badge of honor. I don't care if they bashes me. I just care that I can't fight back. With 12 restrictions, it makes it hard for me to do each one of these streams. Every one of these streams, I'm on a slippery slope. After each stream, they're going to come pick me up and arrest me again, I guess. They haven't so far. So I'll come and say goodnight to everybody. And thanks for coming by. I know we don't get any notice and that everything is no longer anywhere close to a schedule. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm worn out. I'm battered, bruised, but I don't stop. I don't have a life. This is my life. This is what I do all day. Every waking moment of the day, the night, the early morning hours, no matter where I'm to or what I'm doing, this is on my mind. Gathering up the data, trying to figure out what they got done to us and what they're planning on doing to us, and sharing that before they get rid of us. Me in particular. Hugs for everybody. We're hanging in, Jen. Thank you, yes. Amters. Elaine is out there, we know. Candace. Strontium. Oomph. Hyper. Albert. Just. Krausen. Nep. Keller. Amters. Everybody. Canada's Joe. Just cruising. Albert. Strontium. Good night, everybody. Hugs for everybody. Don't lose the faith, okay? Don't lose the faith. You're winning this fight. and you're getting educated, and we're all doing the same. We're all in this together. Together, we stand. Separate, we all hang. Separately. I'm going to make up a new word. That's my word. Don't steal it. I'll get a patent on it. Hugs, everybody. We'll see you all next time. And I'll put up a better copy on YouTube, Beautiful Girl by Dina, because you can only stream so qualities live. But I actually recorded at the same time in a higher quality, much higher. So we'll have that up in an hour and a half at Beautiful Girl by Dina. Good night, folks. Hi, Thomas. Sylvia. Night, sweetie. Good night, everybody.